Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Played on Repeat podcast, the podcast where I go back to some of my favorite albums and review them through the context of my current music tastes. On this one, we're going to be talking about Pyromania by the safest band to drum along to in the car because you only need one arm to do it, Def Leppard. This one is the third studio album from the band, and it was a departure from their earlier, more heavier sound, and it traded that for a more radio-friendly sound, and it worked. It was a huge success for the band. It got all the way up to number 2 on the Billboard 200, and this one's always been my favorite album from the band, and I'm going to give it an 8.25 out of 10 before this listen. Let's get into the songs. Song 1, Rock Rock Till You Drop. This one it's a heavy metal party tune about the stereotypical fast-paced rock and roll lifestyle. The song opens with some drum beats and a cool guitar intro. We settle into the main riff very soon after that. This one feels very much like an AC/DC song to me, both in the instrumental and in the vocal performance. The guitar solo by Phil Collins in this one is also very Angus Young in its style. We hit a verse or two after the solo and a chorus, and the song ends shortly after that. This one was 3 minutes and 54 seconds, and like I said, it's very AC/DC. Not that it's a bad song. I still think it's a good one, but it didn't feel like Def Leppard to me, if that makes any sense. And I don't know what it is about it, but that's just how I felt about it. I still definitely like the song, so I'm still going to give it an 8 out of 10. Song 2, Photograph. This one was the lead single for the album, and Joe Elliott has described it as being about something you can never get your hands on. This one reached number 1 on the Billboard charts and stayed there for 6 weeks. This one opens with an iconic guitar riff and drum beat. Singing starts soon after, and we settle into the verses after that. This was the catchiest song from the band, in my opinion. There's a reason it made it to number 1 and made a run staying there for a while. I love Phil Collins' guitar tone in this one. His solo is also relatively simple in this one, but it's very effective in giving the song what it needed. And we do the same as the first and hit a verse and a chorus after the solo, and then we fade out to end the song. This one was 4 minutes and 7 seconds, and it's the song that comes to mind for me whenever I think of the band Def Leppard. It's their signature song, in my opinion. You could argue a few other of their songs, but this is the one that I personally think of. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Song 3, Stage Fright. After we parted ways with Pete Willis, we needed a replacement as soon as possible, Rick Savage recalled in a Vault video interview. Phil was always going to be our first choice, but obviously we needed him to come in and have to do something on the record just to see if he worked out. And Stage Fright became the first thing that Phil Collins played in Def Leppard. The song opens with the sound of a crowd cheering and clapping and Joe Elliott screaming, "Welcome to my show." It's because of that intro that during the tour for this album, this was the opening song for a lot of their shows, because they kind of on purpose made this like a good song to start a show. And we then get to the instruments and we start verses. We follow a pretty simple, strong song structure throughout this one. The solo from Colin, the one that landed him the gig in this band, is a great one, in my opinion. We follow the same idea as the rest of the album by doing a verse and a chorus to end it. This one's 4 minutes and 41 seconds, and it's my least favorite to this point, but it just didn't really grab me for some reason. I do get where it would be a good one to open a show with, but for whatever reason, it didn't mesh with me the same way that the rest of the album does, so it's a 7 out of 10 for me. Song 4, Too Late for Love. This one's another single. This one reached number 9 on the mainstream rock charts. The song opens with some like robotic / electronic sounds, and then the guitar intro riff followed shortly after, and Joe Elliott singing as well. This one's very much a power ballad. Has some softer, more straight like ballad parts, but also some parts with some more distorted guitar, backing vocals, stuff like that. There's also some chanty parts in there as well. The solo is very reserved, but once again, it fits the song well. Immediately after the solo, we go into another more reserved section that transitions once again into the more distorted part. I really enjoy the drum fills throughout this one as well. The song ends on a fade out as Colin plays some leads. This one is 4 minutes and 26 seconds, and it's one of those power ballads that bands at this time just felt like they had to have a couple of them on each album. So, it's not my favorite example of an 80s power ballad, but it's serviceable, and it's still a good song. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a bad song. It's an 8 out of 10. It's still a good song, but not my favorite example of a power ballad. Song 5, Die Hard the Hunter. I was going through a period when I wanted to write something other than sex, drugs, women backstage, and Jack Daniels, Elliott told Dave Frick in 1987's Animal Instinct. I wanted to deal with a serious subject that I didn't necessarily have to be a big expert on. The track was basically based on the first Rambo movie, is what Phil Collins says. And he says a soldier comes back and can't adjust to regular life is kind of what it was based on. And it just goes way off into this epic thing, and Def Leppard really hadn't done anything like that before. The song opens with a sound of a helicopter and gunfire, similar to that of like One by Metallica. We then get a really cool, clean guitar intro part. Joe Elliott starts singing soon after that. After close to a minute and a half, we get into the main distorted riff for the song. This one's more like a blues-based riff than a lot of the other stuff that we've gone through. I really like the pace that we're at in this one, and it's another song that has a strong drum performance as well. The solo for this one is another that I also really enjoy from Phil Collins. We go out on the bandle hitting one last note, and the guitar reverberates out, and then it ends. This one was 6 minutes and 15 seconds, and I really enjoyed it. I really like them going out of their comfort zone a little bit and writing, and I did like the story that they told with this one. This one's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Song 6, Foolin'. This one was the third single for the album, and it made it to the top 30 in the charts in the U.S. It opens with another clean guitar part and super clean singing from Joe Elliott. This is another like power ballad type of song. This is another one of the band's most catchy songs as well. It's another really simple song structure, but it works. This one also has another relatively simple solo as well, but once again, it works. You don't always need to overcomplicate things to do a good thing, and they did a really good job here not to overcomplicate this song because it didn't need it. And the song ends with a very short return to the clean guitar part, and a few notes from the intro is the last thing that we hear. Foolin' is 4 minutes and 33 seconds, and it's a much better execution of the power ballad type of song, in my opinion, than Too Late for Love. Well, I'm not gonna say much better. It's a better song, but it's not by a lot. Like they're comparable songs, but I do enjoy this one more. It's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Song 7, Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages is that rare anthem that winds through the entire album's worth of shifts and sections in just around 4 or so minutes, is what UltimateClassicRock.com had to say about this song. It opens with a German gibberish spoken word intro that you may also know from Pretty Fly for a White Guy, if you're into that type of music. Singing and guitars as well as drums join soon after that intro. The song is driven by a simple drum beat, and some chords from the guitar come in periodically throughout the thing. The chorus is one that's super chanty and feels kind of like huge, one of those things that it's mixed really big. And the solo from this is also one of my favorites from Phil Collins. The song ends on a kind of sinister laugh, and the lighting of a match is the kind of last thing you hear in this one. This one was 4 minutes and 7 seconds, and it, like Photograph, is going to be one of the songs that a lot of people think of when you bring up this band. It's super well known, and that's for a good reason. For me, it's on the same level as Photograph. I just enjoy Photograph a little bit more, but they're definitely on the same page and the same level. It also gets a 9 out of 10 from me. Song 8, Coming Under Fire. This one is the only song from the album that the band has never played live for whatever reason. This one opens with another clean guitar intro and some leads in the background. We then settle into kind of a chuggy main riff that I enjoy. Joe Elliott's voice has a slight effect to it throughout this song. It's not like super noticeable, but you kind of do hear it like in little parts. And I don't know how I feel about it. Like it doesn't bother me, but I don't know that it was needed. But we return to the middle in the middle of the song to the clean part from the intro, and that's what leads us into the solo on this one. This is one of my favorite solos from the album. The song ends on a repeat of the chorus and a few seconds of some leads and drums. Then it fades out. This one's 4 minutes and 34 seconds, and like I said, has one of my favorite solos from the albums. It's one of my favorite songs from the album. I really don't know why they wouldn't play it live. Joe Elliott is even quoted as saying he thinks it's his favorite from the album. Granted, he said it's probably his favorite because they haven't played it to death live. But I wouldn't go as far as him and say it's my favorite from the album, but it's definitely like just barely a step below Photograph. And, it's a song by them that I feel like needs more attention than it gets. I'm going to call it an 8.75 out of 10. Song 9, Action Not Words. This one, like the track before it, is neglected by the band in live shows, but in this case it's because the band just doesn't like the song. This one opens with a cool like slide guitar part that I thought was really cool, and an upbeat drum beat. Joe Elliott joins soon after that. This one to me kind of feels like a Kiss song in a lot of ways. Maybe that's why they don't like it, is they don't feel like it feels like them. But I feel like the first song on the album had the same problem to me. But the solo is once again one that I enjoy in this. Phil Collins, a really good guitar player. He's not somebody that's going to put out a lot of bad solos. The song does get a touch samey toward the end, though, for me. And it gets kind of repetitive. And that's the only bad thing I have to say about it. It ends on the Joe Elliott scream of action. This one was 3 minutes and 48 seconds, and I don't really understand the band's dislike of it. It's not the absolute best song from the album, but it's definitely not the worst. I am going to say I did some more research trying to figure out why they didn't play it live, and I saw Joe Elliott saying that it might be hard to pull off like day in and day out, like show after show after show. And I can definitely see that, but I wouldn't see why they wouldn't like pull it out every once in a while. If he really enjoys it as much as he says that he enjoys it, I don't know why they don't pull it out sometimes. But that's whatever. That's their decision. It's their song. It's their band. Whatever. It's their shows. I'm going to say this one's an 8 out of 10 for me. Song 10, Billy's Got a Gun. Joe Elliott described this one as a real New York subway song about a guy that fell into bad company and turned into a troublemaker. The song opens with another kind of chugging riff, almost akin to like Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, is what I kind of had the feeling that it reminded me of. We then strip the guitar back, and we're led by a driving bass line in the drums for the majority of the song. It's another simple song structure that works really well for the song, and another good solo from Colin as well. The song ends, and there's a weird, like, minute-long affected drum solo tacked onto the back end of it, which I thought was kind of weird. But this one was 5 minutes and 55 seconds, and it was a good song, nothing spectacular, but a good way to end the album, I would say. I was thrown off by the weird minute-long drum part at the end. I called it a solo, but it wasn't even actually, like, technically a solo. It was kind of just a simple beat that was repeated again and again for a minute. But that doesn't ruin the song in any way for me. It just, I just don't know why they added it to the back of that song. But it's still an 8 out of 10 for me. That all added up and averaged out brings us to an 8.3 out of 10. Basically exactly where I expected the album to score. It's a great album from a great band. It was an awesome first performance from Phil Collins for the band, and you can feel the impact that adding him to the lineup made throughout the album. He was just like the perfect guy to bring in for Def Leppard, and I'm really glad that they found him and that they decided to go with him, because I feel like he kind of leveled their sound up a little bit. With that being said, we're done, and I just have to say thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and check me out on TikTok if you haven't, at Played on Repeat Pod. We have rock and metal discussions over there almost every day. Thanks. Bye.